What's going on, guys? Welcome to Final Fantasy Brave Exodus video, and today we're going to be conducting a part 2 of the global arrival. Some of them have already arrived, but the one video that got my most views, so I want to make another one. There's a lot of people that wanted me to do another one, so I wanted to make another one of this where I rank all the Neovision units, and you might notice that there are some that are missing because I already discussed them in the previous one. So if you haven't seen that one, I'm surprised if you haven't, because it has my most views on my channel. So I'm sure most people that are watching this have already seen that one, so you guys know what I mean. And also there was one other caveat. There is no global Neovisions on this list because I want to wait a little bit to make a video on it all on its own just for no global Neovision units and Neovision Awakened units. So I'm just gonna wait a few months, and I'm probably gonna make another one just for global units only. So there's no global units on this one, only the mainline ones, or you're expected to get. So all in all, guys, yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get into that, shall we? So this is an introduction here, because I don't believe in the last one I was very clear with what all my terms meant. So good, in the good section is going to be they're worth your time, your amazing pull, top tier, great, amazing, all that kind of good stuff. Mediocre does not mean bad. Mediocre means it's serviceable, you can use them, but they're lacking in some way. They're not really worth investing completely into, like using all of your resources to get them into like EX2 and stuff like that. Not really. So, and bad is just not worth your time whatsoever. Remember, guys, this is my opinion, but I'm not apologizing for anything anymore. A lot of people said that I shouldn't apologize for anything. This is my opinion, so I'm never going to apologize anymore. That's one of my New Year's resolutions, by the way. So, yeah, no apologizing here, so let's get into the video. So as you can see here, there's quite a lot of lists we got to get through. It took me almost the whole day to get this together, to formulate all, because there was a lot. Guys, if you check out the first one, I only did like the very beginning of Neovision units. So there's a lot to go over. So there's Gilgamesh. He was my #1 spot on my Goal compression list, so of course he would be here. He has breaks, he has break gauge attacks, he has a lot of other things involved. He has a lot of chaining families, some of them not so good, but some of them good. So he has a lot of things going on and involved with that. So Reagan, top tier DPS. He's about as strong as Sora is, and Sora is still top tier as well. So Reagan is a very strong damage dealer. Make sure you go check out my spotlight on him after you're done with this video. Nyx is a very good chainer, 6x cap or 600%. He also has a lot of good modifiers. He has 80 times modifier on one of his chaining families, and also he has an a zone effect for 25% more in peril, which I showed off in the Noctis video that I made a few days ago. Everybody should already be very familiar with Uriah at this point. I gave her a 9 out of 10 score, so of course she would be here. One of my highest scored rated units. So yeah, she's a very amazing support, as most people on Global should know by now. Edgar, of course, everybody should know as well. There's a lot of units on here that have already been on Global, but I still needed to include them to be a perfection list. I wanted to get all of them together. So Bartz is a unit that's not been introduced to Global just yet as a Neovision Awakened unit. He's more of a, he's like a wind support, basically. And his ratio to him is a wind support. He has 45% physical and magical wind damage increase for all allies. That's insane, by the way. And a lot of other things that he can do for wind and all that kind of stuff. So he can give chaining families just similar to Regis or Furion, the Neovision Furion. He can give chaining families to everybody, so that's good. Dragon Princess Fina. Very good mage, top tier mage. You're going to see a lot of other YouTubers that you may have seen using her on the JP site in terms of trials and things, so she's very strong. If you got some people may not know about him, so he's a very strong mage. He has chaining family now. He has CWA chaining, and they're pretty strong. And on top of that, he also is still a very, very strong finisher, one of the strongest magic finishers in the game now. So there's that. Sarah, very, very good healer now in her Brave Shift form. She has all the healing you would ever want as a healer in her Brave Shift form. So in terms of chaining, it's whatever. She's still decent, I guess. She has Bolting Strike chaining family now. It's her chaining is whatever. You're not bringing her along for her chaining anymore. You're bringing her along because she has a lot of the interesting healing abilities and HP barriers and all this kind of stuff. So you're bringing her along for her Brave Shift form, not for anything else. Sora, self-explanatory. I think everybody knows about Sora by now, but I do know there's a lot of new players going on in my video on my channel now. So Sora is a top tier DPS. If you missed out on him, that's okay, because like I said, Reagan is going to be around the corner. So Reagan is going to be there for you if you have a few of him. Riku, very strong breaker, very strong damage dealer. Fistless, she's still one of the top mages on the JP side. She can still be a finisher, but I would recommend just sticking to her as a chainer. And coincidentally, she's right next to Terra. I didn't do that on purpose, but Terra and Fistless are the best combination because Terra can give summon Shiva, which will increase Fistless ice damage since she boosts ice magic, which is good. Locke, another unit that's on global now, very good. I've showed off tons of videos on him already, so if you want to know more about Locke and you're a new player and you just pulled him, and you're like, I don't know anything about this character, what does he do? I have a whole bunch of videos on him already, so make sure you check my channel out with that. Rain and Fina, one of the first tag units in the game, they'll be able to do strong tag chaining. They are a strong limit burst damage dealer and all that kind of good jazz. So there's that, and also next to them, Lagan or Last Fallen Reagan, same thing, except their Brave Shift form is actually really useful because they can also be a really strong finisher. So there's that. Solana, same story. They're a very strong finisher, but they can in a Brave Shift form, but they're also a very strong tag chainer. So look forward to Solana in the future. They have a lot of elemental chaining. They have Earth, they have Dark, they have Fire. So that's pretty good. And I think most people on my channel at least know about like this Lightning, at least Savior of Souls Lightning. I think everybody should be looking forward to her in the future. She's a very strong everything pretty much. She's gonna be she's not a strong mage, but she can be used as a mage if you want that. She's a very strong provoker type unit. She can also be a really strong limit burst damage dealer. In her normal form, her Brave Shift form is more of a meme. In terms of her the only reason you would ever want to use her limit burst in her Brave Shift form is if you are not using her as a regular damage dealer and you want that 90% Spirit Break. So there's that. Alec Brothers, a new addition to this lineup of units here. So if you don't know anything about Alec Brothers, they're a very strong tag chainer. They don't need to use their limit burst or anything like that to use their tag chain. And so there's that. They also can be a finisher, but they're not as strong as being a finisher. They're better at being a chainer. And finally, on this part of this, there's still a whole lot more slides. Ferris. Ferris is basically Terra, but she can finish in her normal form instead of shifting over. So, plus she has a lot of. The reason why she's really here, I was kind of on the fence of putting her in Mediocre because she requires 100 Limit Burst crystals to get going on that Limit Burst, but she's in the good section because of her Brave Shift form, which she can be a breaker and a physical finisher and a physical damage dealer as well. That really saved her from being put in the next section. So let's move on to the next slide. There's still a few more that I couldn't fit in because it was just too many. So Noctis, Arden are good because they're Dragoon finishers. They'll be good for Dark Visions, I'm sure. And they can be used for a lot of other things as well. Laswell, he's good here because he can be really good for Dark Visions, really. His damage is, of course, not that high, but that's okay because he can be imbued, he can equip a weapon because it'll still count. Like if you give him a Fire Dagger, it'll still count, and since magic doesn't give variance, it doesn't matter if you equip a one-handed weapon on him right now. You can do that and get away with it. So that's one of the strengths. And I'm on the fence with Snow. I put him in the good section primarily because he can be a tank, and for a lot of people, there was a lot of people in my comment section saying that they don't have a tank or they don't want Finzi. So Snow is also an option. He's kind of on the fence because I don't like that if you die with him, then you're screwed if you needed him as a magic tank, because his magic tanking is in his Brave Shift form, and yes, all tanks can die in some way. Doesn't matter how tanky you make them, something can happen and they could get KO'd. It happened to me all the time, so just make sure he doesn't die, I guess. So we're moving on. in the mediocre section. If you watch all the way to this part of the video, make sure to type in hashtag tag team. Hashtag tag team will be the keyword of this video. Make sure you type that in. Anyways, going on to Onion Ruffia, she's in the mediocre section because she does some decent things, but it's not really that impressive. And same thing with Dark Knight Lunith at this point. He was a combination unit, but at this point, some people can do better than him at this point, so it's fine. Ignacio, as confusing as it is for the sprite, no, this is not Fire Veritas. This is Ignacio in his Rage form, and the reason why he's here is because he's just another finisher. He's another fire finisher, and there's a dozen at this. And when the point when Ignacio comes out, there's going to be dozens and dozens and dozens of finishers for you guys to choose from. So Ignacio really isn't that special. He doesn't do anything that screams a special, by the way. So that's the reason why he's there. Not because he's bad, just because he's a dime a dozen a finisher. But if you have a bunch of them, you can use them still. That's why he's in the mediocre section. If you still need to know what the mediocre category means, I already defined it, so go back and check. Anyways, Monk Sabin is here because, guys, the reason why he's here is because, yes, he's a good tank. He can be a mage, but who's going to be using him besides using them for one of the achievements, like in the future? You guys know when I made a mission on the parameter missions recently. You'll be using him for that most likely, but other than that, what are you going to be using him for? If you have Charlotte, or you have Finzi, or you have someone else, I don't think you're going to be using Sabin because he can tank, but I just don't think it's going to be that good. He doesn't really do much else besides tanking, is what I'm getting at here. So there's that. And Charlotte is here because, yes, you can use her for a long time in the future, I'm sure, but the features of her character aren't that good in comparison to Finzi and Snow. In the future, she just doesn't do as much. In the future, she's lagging in quality in terms of what she can accomplish on the team at this point. Her moves are a little old, so there's that. Radiant Lightning is just she's not really that special. She's just another mage. The real reason why she's here is because, yes, she can be a quadcast bolting strike mage in her brave shift form, but they really neglected her normal form. Her normal form barely got any upgrades. That's the reason why she's here, because the other side's just not as strong. Assassin Shadow's here because the reverse, his brave shift form is not that good, but he's the reason why he's kind of on the fence, because his normal form is amazing, but his brave shift form is just whatever and not that great. That's the reason why Assassin Shadow's here. If it rain, he's just nothing special, really. He's just another, he's an evoked chainer of some kind, and there's other units that can do the same thing as him. It's just not that, like, DP Fina is much better than If It Rain. So, or Infernal Fire Rain, I suppose, whatever you want to call him. He's just nothing special. And the same thing with Untamed Wolf. I think Untamed Wolf, Edo, I can't remember what her name was already, sorry. Same thing with her, she's good, but nothing special. Kyrie, the problem with her is that red pearls. I mean, that's really the biggest problem with unlocking her potential. You have to use red pearls for her, and you're getting a very, very, very small return on something that she can do. And I understand that she does have a lot of potential and she can do a lot of things. It's just the red pearl issue is just holding me back and holding a lot of people back from making use of her, because she just doesn't do enough something super spectacular like a lot of the other units that were in the good section that can do. So there's that. King Bradley's crying in the corner because unfortunately he's really nothing special either. Maybe I'll be able to make use of him in the future, but right now he's just kind of a mediocre damage dealer tank type unit. Mello is here because he's basically Fistless, but worse in a way. He takes several turns to do more damage than other magic finishers, and do you really want to just be using a magic buff for like, I think it's like 4 turns? He's just using a magic buff for 4 turns, basically, until he being able to finish. And that's terrible for Dark Visions, of course. You want to get it done. So there's that. Cleo Star is in the same category here because, yes, they can tag chain and they can do a lot of other things, but that damage is really weak. And really they're only known for just being a finisher. And even though they're TDH, you make them dual wield because you can only single cast their finisher ability. So you just dual them. That's the reason why they're there. Really, you're only using them for finishing roles and things like that. And also Fistless and Charlotte are here because really there's just the novelty of being a free tag chainer. You guys will get them later on. I don't know when, but they're a free tag chainer. I mean, what else can you ask for in a free tag chainer? They're not going to be amazing, but they're not going to be bad either because they can tag chain. And on top of that, they can do triple cast break gauge move. So that's good for being for free. That's good. More of the mediocre section. New Vision Unite. Yes, he has a 700% cap, which is good. No imbues, and the accuracy buff is still very niche as of this video. Who knows if they'll make another thing that's useful for it, but as of right now, only one boss requires it, or technically two, I guess, if you want to count both of them, both versions. But he's just not that special, honestly. If you sit back and look at it, he's not that special. So there's that. Lotus Mage Fina is really only here for one reason, is because her Brave Shift form doesn't last long enough. Because she's fine otherwise. That's my only complaint. Her Brave Shift form doesn't last long enough. It should have been infinite turns, or at least a few turns. So there's that. And lastly, not because she's bad, of course, like I said, original Lightning is good because she can be a lightning support in her Brave Shift form, but she's not really that strong of a damage dealer. You're really only bringing her along for her support. So there's the mediocre section. Make sure to give a like on this video if you're liking it so far, and I hope you guys have, because it's 16 minutes in. So if you haven't been watching this the whole time through, then make sure you give a like on the video. Can we get 100 likes on the video? That'd be great. And lastly, the bad units that you probably shouldn't be wasting your time on. Archmage Kefka, really only because his Brave Shift form doesn't last long enough. You want to stay in his Brave Shift form because he has strong Limit Burst damage, and he's a Limit Burst chainer in his Brave Shift form. But you can't stay in there, and also, or can you? Something is holding him back. I remember that much. He requires like 9 turns or something like that, some long duration, and so you can use his cooldown ability to give him Limit Burst damage, and that's just ridiculous. So Fina and Dark Fina are the same thing. They're a Limit Burst chainer in their Brave Shift form, but they have no killers, and like no initial killers or anything like that, so not really worth your time. Berserker, TDH Dragoon, that's all that needs to be said. Kenshira, a joke of a hybrid unit, so not even worth your time. And Aranea, same thing, TDH Dragoon, nothing else needs to be said on that. But there is one good thing about Aranea if you want to use her. Same thing with Nyx, is her Limit Burst gives a 25% light imperil, which is stacked on top of any other imperil you may have because it's a zone effect. So you could have 120% imperil, but then have this added on top of that. And I showed that off in my, not her, but I used the imperil that Nyx had, and it's the same thing. So this is the list, guys. This is the ending here. So make sure you guys subscribe. Let me know if this is good, because I did rank. I literally went through every single one that I didn't already do and put them in here. So there's not going to be one that you will not see that's here as of this video recording, of course. And of course, like I mentioned at the very beginning, there's no global units in here because I want to make a whole one. I want to make a special video just about them. I want to make a special video just about global units. So don't cry in the comment section if I didn't put them in your... Where's Elena at? Where's Shakiri at? Well, they're not here because I want to make a special video about them. So all in all, guys, make sure you have... Because can we get 100 likes on this video? That'd be really great. Make sure you share this video around for people that need to know about this kind of stuff. And let me know about other videos you want to see on the channel. Anyways, guys, hopefully this video helped you out, and hopefully it was as good as the previous one, because that one I want to be as special as this one. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell, and also there was a keyword in this video. Make sure you guys type that in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys in the very next one.